Across the English football landscape, the traditional hierarchy is fracturing. The clubs that dictated the terms for the last decade are tearing up their blueprints. Arsenal stand in stark contrast to this chaos. They opened their campaign with a commanding 3-0 victory over the previous champions to secure the Community Shield, proving their tactical system is intact. Meanwhile, Manchester City are losing the core components of their structural spine. Crucial veteran leadership that defined their recent dominance has exited the building, leaving a noticeable void in the midfield. The managerial shifts at Liverpool and Chelsea have left the top of the table in a state of structural flux. Pundits see this instability and assume the title belongs to Arsenal. They believe the path to the championship is clear. It isn't. Chasing a championship as an underdog requires momentum. Defending a lead at the summit requires paranoia. You are no longer the surprise package. You are the primary target. Arsenal's rivals know they are currently weakened. They recognize they cannot compete on symmetric terms in a straightforward race for points. Instead, they will execute a highly specific threat matrix. This is a coordinated campaign designed to exploit Arsenal's hidden vulnerabilities. Arsenal's primary danger is the specific, coordinated exploitation of their tactical and physical limits. The first vector of attack is tactical stubbornness. Opponents will refuse to engage Arsenal in open play, aiming to neutralize their control-heavy style. Last season, Arsenal secured 25 goals through dead ball situations. They relied heavily on these highly structured set pieces to bypass defensive lines. Rivals will counter this by sitting in deep defensive low blocks, packing all their players behind the ball in the final third. They will congest the penalty area and force Arsenal to generate spontaneous creativity through heavy traffic. This strategy exposes a clear limitation. The squad lacks a clinical, pure finisher. They lack a striker who requires only a half chance to break through a fortified defensive wall. Without that lethal focal point, opponents see these set pieces as static routines that can be neutralized through discipline. They believe they can drag Arsenal into a grinding, scoreless stalemate. The second vector is the weaponization of the football calendar. Rivals intend to induce systemic physical attrition. Challengers understand they do not need to defeat Arsenal's starting lineup. They only need to survive until Arsenal's overutilized core players break down from the workload. Key individuals are carrying a hidden debt of exhaustion. Deep runs in international tournaments have compounded an already brutal domestic schedule. The tactical structure rests on defensive pillars like Declan Rice. If his legs give out, the ability to transition and protect the backline collapses. Out wide, attackers like Bukayo Saka bear the brunt of this toll. They absorb constant double teams and cynical fouls match after match. Rivals with deeper squads will exploit this. They will treat the 10-month season as a marathon of survival, enforcing a war of physical attrition to wear the champions down. The final threat vector is the brute force financial power of legacy clubs undergoing transition. Clubs like Chelsea and Manchester United may appear disorganized on the pitch, but their foundational wealth allows them to execute aggressive market corrections at a moment's notice. This chart shows the financial disparity at play. When a legacy club enters transition, their spending rapidly spikes, outbidding stabilized teams. To acquire an elite striker overnight requires astronomical fees, as these clubs ignore normal spending limits for immediate output. Because of this capital, the power vacuum is an illusion. Transitioning giants can buy their way out of a slump, artificially accelerating their timeline to mount a sudden challenge. Simply maintaining their current level of performance will lead to a slow decline as these three asymmetric threats close in. Defeating rivals who can spend $100 million to fix a single mistake requires a higher baseline. Arsenal needs the squad depth and tactical variety associated with continental giants to insulate themselves from these domestic threats. The manager has to push his philosophy forward. He must transition this squad away from cautious tactics, developing a system capable of expansive control. The last time Arsenal established a multi-year dynasty that defined the English landscape was the 1930s. That era required visionary leadership. It took a manager willing to pioneer new tactical systems to assert dominance over the league. This represents the climb from domestic title winners to a team that dictates the standard of the modern game. Surviving this threat matrix requires the long-term structural dominance that turns a single winning season into a lasting era.